I thank Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, for enlightening us. Earlier, we focused on the role of various levels of government, role of leadership, intergovernmental transactions, and also best and the worst practices for dealing with sudden and slow-moving processes. Now I'd request Mr. K. Mahesh, a senior IAS officer and honorary president of the Delhi Administrative Officers Academic Forum. I request everybody to confine to speaking for 2 to 3 minutes so we can hear our Deputy CM who will speak for 30 minutes.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Manish Sisodia, sir, our very dynamic Vice Chancellor, Professor Kumar, our dear friend, Chanchal Sharma, who led from the front in organizing this great conference for the first time in India with so many participants. Professor Sushma Yadav, another very Vice Chancellor, proactive Vice Chancellor. Elizabeth, a friend from Italy. Ladies and gentlemen, I won't take much time. I'll confine myself to 2 minutes. First of all, let's congratulate Mr. Manish Sisodia that our party has become a national party, the 9th national party. And second, for sweeping the polls in MCD Delhi. That is your real local governance where people don't live under center government and state. They live under local bodies. They live under panchayats. So that is a very big challenge, at the same time a great achievement, ladies and gentlemen. Just to say a few words about Mr. Manish Sisodia. First of all, sir, he is brutally honest, commercially and intellectually. And I mean it. Number two, he is a doer. That's one word which describes his functioning, his personality. And let me tell you, he's the most distinguished education minister in the country. It is evidenced by the fact that New York Times, national and international media, they have covered all his great work in education. That's a great achievement, ladies and gentlemen. Friends, he's also a great innovator. He introduced entrepreneurship, patriotism, happiness in the curricula in the schools. And he is author of the book, Shiksha, My Experiment as an Education Minister. For all the great distinguished work, the kind of work which he has done, and let me tell you, all this work has been done under circumstances not of a double-engine government, but double brake. To put the words of Professor Bhattacharya when he talked about, I cannot speak much about it. And Mr. Sisodia has been conferred in 2006, he was recognized as listed among the 100 most influential Indian by the Indian Express. Indian Express is a very credible newspaper. And then he has been conferred the Mahatma Award for Excellence in Education. And during pandemic, he was the nodal officer for COVID management, and he led from the front. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a thunderous applause to Mr. Manish Sisodia, our Honorable Deputy Chief Minister. He is hard pressed for time. He cancelled all his assignment, all his engagements just to be here for half an hour. So I've just taken 2 minutes, and we would like to hear, sir. Samriddhi, do you like to just move on? Thank you.
Now I would like to request our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Sushma Yadav, to speak for only 2 minutes and introduce our Deputy Chief Minister.
No, that I think Mr. Mahesh has done very well. But Honorable Deputy CM, Shri Manish Sisodia ji, with whom I have a very, very long association. I think since the inception of RTI in India, when he was really helping people and making RTI popular. And I'm so happy to see him here at this stage. I would say he is almost de facto CM, although politicians or political scientists should not say that, but he's handling the government in Delhi. We all know that very well. And education was his passion at that time, and that became his vocation also. It rarely happens. So when passion and vocation combine, I'm sure results are wonderful. So I really welcome you, sir, from my personal side and on behalf of my university also. And I look forward to hearing from you. I would only say one thing. I've been here on the first day and the third day, and now it's the fourth day. It has been a very, very rich deliberation, wonderful presentation of papers. But what I saw in terms of data, and data is important in coming years, in terms of data from the papers from very well-known international scholars who are here, I would say we lacked that in the Indian context. And I would request my friends, instead of giving perceptions, I was discussing this yesterday also, we must have data-based, evidence-based conclusions or evidential statements for the governments. I look forward to such papers. I wish to thank again the Forum of Federation and the Sanction Foundation and Elizabeth, who's here representing, I think wearing a number of hats, for having this conference. And icing on the cap now is Shri Manish Sisodia ji himself. I would not like to take his time, but I really look forward to hearing his experiments from the side of governance, which he had critiqued so beautifully earlier. Thank you very much, sir, and thanks for this time.
Now I request Dr. Elizabeth Elber from Eurek Research Bolzano, Italy, to say a few words on the proceedings of the conference.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, honorable speakers of the panel, dear professors, dear colleagues, dear friends. It has been a great pleasure, actually, to think and co-think and reflect together with Chanchal on a call for papers almost a year and a half ago. We have been meeting in an online class where I've invited Chanchal to share the experience on federalism in India with the student class at the University of Innsbruck, where I teach. And from there, actually, it evolved into a thought that we should try to put together an international gathering that actually creates a network between practitioners, between academics, coming from different continents, and questioning and reflecting on federalism in times of crises. Because crises actually have, as we know, ever existed, but are very prominent right in these years. Much has been said already on the pandemic crisis. I just want to recall that obviously there are many more crises that actually stem out of the pandemic. Just think of all the social implications. But there are also crises that are incremental and not so immediate as the pandemic was. And we have to look for solutions to approach also incremental crises. What do I mean by that? I opened the forum, our conference, by saying that obviously climate change, climate crisis is one of these incremental crises. It's hitting us not slowly, but through the back doors, and we have to keep our eyes open to somehow confine its effects, because we're already in midst of it. So this is just one other crisis I mentioned. And obviously it was a fantastic occasion as well to bring together really scholars from all over the world with a lot of different evidence-based data, as you were referring to the importance of evidence-based research. But we have also figured out that a lot of evidence is still missing. And here there's the great opportunities across continents, across disciplines, between political science, between law, economics, whatever it is, across generations, involving students, having PhD researchers, getting together professors with younger generations to actually create networks and come up with evidence-based research that helps us to govern better, that helps us also to accommodate diversities and to make societies more resilient, this fashion word, with regard to crises. So on behalf of Eurek Research, thank you very much. I would like to express my gratitude for all the help we've had in coming here, to all the organizers, first and foremost, obviously to the Central University of Haryana as a host, but obviously also to the Hans Seidel Foundation as a main co-sponsor, and to the Forum of Federations as a support network, which obviously also and always touches on such issues. Thank you very much.
Now we have with us the gracious presence of the Most Honorable His Excellency Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, Shri Manish Sisodia ji. As Mr. K. Mahesh has done beautifully introducing Shri Sisodia, I wouldn't like to take up any much of your time. Sir, please.
A very good morning to all of you sitting here in this beautiful hall and trying to make this world more beautiful and safe for all of us. I take this discussion on that direction. First of all, let me congratulate the Central University from Haryana, Hans Foundation, and of course, the anchor of this entire show, Delhi Administrative Officers Academic Forum, to organize this event, invite scholars from the world, and try to understand that how the world actually dealt with the crisis called COVID. Because when we all were struggling with COVID, we all were being told by media, by research, and that by all the information and communication channels that the world has never seen this crisis. Such a crisis was only seen 100 years back in those years, and we all were trying to understand what was the data, what was happening in those days. And frankly, I mean, there could be certain books about that, there could be some research about that at that point of time, this happened, that happened, but it was never into some institutional memory. It was never found. As an administrator, as a doer, as an executive, I can say that when trying to execute best practices and best plans to deal with a crisis like COVID, every government in the world was struggling that how it has been dealt earlier, whenever there was a crisis like this. So I see these conferences, and especially this conference, and in particular the scholars who are writing evidence-based papers. It's not about this conference, it's about the future generations. So I congratulate the organizers and participants to be part of such a wonderful event, which might not look that useful for today, I say with underline, but definitely going to be much and much useful for the future. It might be in years after, it might be in decades after, it might be a century after. You never know. But whatever you are writing today, whatever you are telling the world today is not for yourself, is not for this generation. It might be 4 or 5 generations after we leave this beautiful planet. It might be useful for them also. So thank you very much for coming from all over the world, from 13 different countries, all over 6 continents, participants, scholars, and organizers coming together from different parts of the world. It's a wonderful work that you are doing. For last 4 days, I'm sure you must have delivered a lot of brainstorming on it, a lot of experiences, database, evidence-based practices must have been shared. As a government, I would love to know more about it. I wish I could have spent some time here, but you must be following in the newspapers. For a politician, election is a crisis. So I was also into crisis management. It got over yesterday only. Thank you very much. So, but definitely, my friend and colleague and my brother, Mr. K. Mahesh being here, Sushma ji being here, Professor Tarkeshwar being here, I'm sure that whenever we get a time, we'll discuss, and I'll take a debriefing from all of you so that whatever is possible, we can translate into action, whatever is required or whatever was followed. But while sharing the Delhi experience, I can say that crisis is a very critical concept overall. Most of the time when we talk about the world and the times, we talk that earlier days were too good. Present is struggling and future could be good. Could be good. So whenever we look at past, usually we see that there was no crisis in past. Old days were so good. Old days were golden days. Those golden days were so beautiful for us. Every generation thinks this. Every group thinks like this. Whenever you talk about past or say struggle of present, you talk about, and everybody would say, actually you see the time has changed. Today is the crisis time. Actually golden period has gone. If you look and read the stories of those times, then you'll read, no. The people at those times, maybe 10 years back, maybe 15 years back, 20 years back, they were also talking on the same language. Actually, this is the crisis time. The golden time has actually passed. We wish we were at that time. So every time is considered to be a crisis time by the present generation, and every past time is always considered to be a golden period, in general talks. But COVID is not that kind of crisis that we can forget. COVID is a crisis where we can never say, and especially people sitting here who have been facing in terms of family members, in terms of society, in terms of government, executors, whoever, in whatever position we were doing, we all know what was happening. And it was not a good time. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, we'll always remember this as the worst crisis of our life. We can never say that past was good if we remember COVID. For any other crisis, even world's worst crisis, we can say that past was golden, but not for the COVID periods. I remember my time when, especially the second wave of pandemic that came to Delhi, it was like hell. Every moment I was on phone, I was getting calls from hospitals, as a politician, I was getting phones from all over, whoever was having my phone number or my staff phone numbers that we need a bed, we need oxygen, we need crisis, we are in this crisis, we need medical facilities, we need this, we need that. I can't tell you what kind of, moments we were passing through. This was such a bad time. But still, I would say that crisis like COVID actually tells us that how much we are prepared for actually crisis. We all talk about crisis, we all talk about disaster, we all talk about different preparations for the future. But crises like these actually show us mirror that are we really prepared or not. So fortunately, Delhi government was one of the governments since 2015 when we came to power. We were investing huge on health sector. We were investing huge on education sector. And in those sectors, the investment, we never knew that there would be pandemic. But since 2015, we started 20% of our budget was being spent and invested into health sector for last 6-7 years. That time, I can say from since 2015. And 25% of the entire budget allocation was being used for education. So 25% on education, 20% on health sector actually made us on edge in dealing with this situation. We never knew that there would be a time when we have to close all our hospital beds for general patients. We have to shift all our hospital rooms, including government and private, into COVID beds. We never knew for that. But we prepared. We dealt it little safely, I would say, not safely, because we have introduced a concept like Mohalla Clinic. So any person who was having any other problem for a general physician, who generally used to come to a hospital, was having Mohalla clinics at least at that time. They were not closed. Where you have a physician, you have different tests, facilities available, you have doctors, you have nurses, you have people available there, staff there, who can check you medically for other than COVID problems. Not the severe ones, but yes, regular problems, which was very well dealt in Delhi. Same, unknowingly, we were on the path of constructing more and more hospitals. Our health minister was working on having a target of 10,000 beds in 2019. We were working. In my budgets in 2018 and 19, if you read my lines as a finance minister, my health minister has given me that he would achieve this target by the end of 2020 or maybe 2021. So many of our hospital wards were actually almost ready. They were not inaugurated. They were not formally announced to be opened. But when crisis came and we talked to our teams, they said that things are 90% ready. We can start using them. And we started using them. So almost, I can say that 3,000 to 4,000 beds were almost available. If COVID was not there, they were already supposed to be available for the city. And because of COVID, the 10% work was maybe done fast or maybe bypassed, that we'll complete other formalities and paperwork later on, let's start them. And we started that. That helped us. Then certain innovative things. Because any crisis is a test of how much you are prepared in advance and how much innovative you are. It's also important because crises like COVID are unseen and unimagined crises. So we came up with some innovative ideas. When the entire world and the entire country was struggling that COVID numbers are increasing day by day and hospital beds are occupying, there's no free beds, what will happen? Fortunately, but fortunately is not the right word to describe the situation what we faced in the COVID, but still I would say, coincidentally I would say that what was happening as a trend, our researchers actually helped us to understand what is happening and what is the tracking. So something that happened in Delhi was actually happening in Mumbai almost 20 days before that. And same thing was happening in London, England, almost 1 month back. So after 2-3 months, we realized that, I don't know how, but it's happening. Or maybe in 6 months, we realized that London to Mumbai and Mumbai to Delhi, the tracking line is this. So whatever was happening in London, they were helping to prepare Mumbai. And whatever was happening in Mumbai, we actually envisaged that now we are going to face it. And actually it happened later on. In 2 years of this crisis, we realized that yes, this was the trend. So from Mumbai and London experiments, and of course, in 15, 20 days or maybe in a month, everybody realized that COVID disease has certain characters, certain parameters, medical things, medical assumptions. So based on all those, we introduced this concept called home cure. We requested people to stay at home. We hired telecommunication company, advisor company in medical sector. They hired a lot of doctors, medical professionals to advise the patients to be at home. So this home isolation concept was introduced in Delhi first. We learned from the Mumbai experiment of scale, but when it came to Delhi, we could have understood that this is the character. So in Delhi, we introduced this concept of home isolation first in the country. Initially, it was opposed from all the sectors, from top medical sectors, from top government, central government, everybody opposed it. How can you leave the patients at home? We said that if you can't leave your patient at home and you can't consult them on phone, then the only option available to you is you invite to them to your so-called medical facility and let him die at the gate of the hospital. That's the only option available to you. Because the person, you are not allowing him to stay at home, you are not allowing him to take some advice on phone from the medical professionals, because you say it's illegal, unethical, unmedical, and it's not in practice, so you don't want to do it. But believe me, if you don't do this, you are asking him to come to hospital, you are not able to give them beds, you are not able to give them proper treatment, whatever is required there, and the only option available is that a person will be dying in a corridor or at the gate at the parking. So after initial resistance, the other governments also tried. Yes, it's good, it's working. And within 1 month, people realized that, yes, this is the way we can deal with the patients. And it worked then. Then there were different approaches. We clubbed private hospitals. We, as Sushma ji said, that database evidence is very important. And it was not easy in a city like Delhi also, but again, we enforced it, and every hospital, data of beds available, data of seats available, about all government and private hospital was available on a single app, Delhi COVID app. So anyone who was supposed to look for a bed was actually looking there, and as a government, we were also sure that now this many beds are occupied. This is the rate of occupying. This is the rate of patients being discharged. So everything was being made available to us through data. That helped a lot. It took a month for us to streamline the things, but after that, everything was in line. The biggest crisis that we faced during especially second wave was about oxygen crisis. I would say it was not an oxygen crisis, it was a man-made disaster, because someone, it may sound a bit political, but I would say that someone sitting on some administrative posts of the country actually did a wrong paperwork, sitting in a classroom, sitting in a room, office room, and the country faced for it. Oxygen was never, hospital medical oxygen was never a product in demand. So you can say that very conventional supply pipelines were available, like who is producing, who is trading, and who is consuming. Everything was set up. All of a sudden, because of pandemic, demand increased. And especially in second wave, people were like eating oxygen. It was not only breathing oxygen, it was like everybody is eating oxygen. So everywhere there was oxygen crisis. So one fine gentleman with maybe some good intentions sat on the paper in a big government office, and he or she decided that, yes, this center is supplying to them. They got some record, and they mashed up everything. They did a chessboard thing. Okay, this hospital is getting from here, this much is being produced here, this much is being produced here. So they just mashed up everything. This will supply to them, this will supply to them, this will supply to them. Nobody knew nobody. And one fine, I remember this meeting took place on 13th April. And 14th, 15th were like, okay. And this decision that was taken on 13th April was actually implemented from 16th April. And on the 16th April morning, none of the hospital knew that who is my supplier. Who is the person who is going to transport? Because nobody knew the transport. Transporters also were not aware who are they supposed to pick up. The producers never knew that if I am supplying, say someone is, Haldwani is producing oxygen. He used to supply to Bareilly, he used to supply to Lucknow. And one gentleman said, no. Out of your production, you will supply this much to Delhi now. So now Delhi hospitals never knew the Haldwani guy. And Haldwani guy plus Delhi hospital, people never knew a transporter who can actually transport the oxygen from there. So nobody knew anyone. And it was a crisis. Every hospital was starving for oxygen. I remember one of the senior journalists called me that I need a bed for my parent. Both of my parents are just going to die. If you can help me to save, please save. I called up some hospital. The top boss never came to line. The number 2 of that hospital told me, sir, my boss is saying, if you can supply some oxygen to my hospital, I can give you 2 beds. This was a deal being done by a minister, by a hospital with a minister. That if you give me oxygen, I'll give you beds. I have beds, but I won't give it to you. First of all, you are the minister, you can ensure me oxygen, I'll ensure you bed. So, and I think someone should do research on that. What actually happened? Who were the suppliers sitting in Sonipat who was supplying to Delhi was asked to supply to Himachal? Supplier who was sitting in Faridabad, who was supplying conventionally to Delhi, buying from somewhere, some local sources and producing it on their own, was told to supply to UP. So all the chains, the conventional chains were broken. Someone tried to add up, but someone actually messed up. So this was a crisis over the crisis. Oxygen was not a COVID crisis, it was a crisis over the crisis, and just because someone didn't apply mind or didn't ask people that if I want to do, can we implement it? They just decided and they implemented it. I mean, Delhi hospitals were starving and we were told to pick up oxygen from Odisha. And Odisha guys were, I mean, they have never supplied oxygen to medical sector. They said, we have oxygen, but take from us. Come with your vehicles, come with your trains, come with your flights. We'll give you oxygen. But transport sector, I mean, I remember one or two of my colleagues are sitting here, they were struggling that finally we got some trucks who could take oxygen from Odisha or Chhattisgarh to Delhi. But when those trucks came here, the nozzle of those trucks to the supply pipe, transfer pipe, and the nozzle that was being used at hospital were different. Oxygen truck is standing in the hospital, people are dying, and we were not able to do. So engineers were called, please do something. Please plug these things, otherwise we have oxygen and people will die. So why I'm saying this? Because when research scholar works, it's not that someone did wrong. It's about that, please research about that also, so that in future, people don't do wrong like this. It was a crisis over the crisis. So I thank you very much, everybody who is here and who has joined online. It's good thing that the time is over, but it's the best thing that we are trying to learn from that, and we are trying to educate our present and future generations. What worked, what failed, and what was miserably done badly, I can say, something handled very badly. So this would help the future generations. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you very much for coming here and participating. Thank you very much.
I am deeply thankful to Shri Sisodia ji for his very informative and insightful lecture on the challenges of COVID management in Delhi and the role of Delhi government in dealing with the crisis. Your presence, sir, serves as a tremendous source of inspiration for all of us. I will now turn the floor over to Mr. K. Mahesh, Senior IAS Officer, for his vote of thanks. He asked me to. Okay. So I request Professor Chanchal Kumar Sharma from Central University of Haryana, the host, for the vote of thanks.